kind are you?
Take a guess.
All right, questions for Coach?
Matt, when you had Jeremy in the back, do you think there's, and I know he had a great rookie year, but maybe an opportunity for him to make more plays on the ball, like that kind of stuff defensively?
It's a great question. I think there's some give and take. You're taking him a little bit further away from the line of scrimmage where he made a lot of his plays. But he also has a chance to affect our pass defense maybe a little bit more. So he did some of it last year. I think between Jason Simmons and Snow, they'll be creative enough to utilize his skill set. But we're going to play him there for a while and see if it's natural to him. The only negative of the spring was we didn't get a chance to do it with him. But we'll put him back there and see if he's the best fit. But I think right now we feel good about at least the plan of try him back there, let him affect our pass defense a little bit more, then move him up by call or by game.
With AJ's suspension, I know that's a while away, the first 2 games of the year, but how do you kind of prepare that position any differently? Does it impact that at all? Do you think about that when who's playing first team, second team?
Yeah, it's a good question. The coaches have asked me that a ton. I don't think about any suspensions or anything like that until as we get closer to the season. I think right now we're just trying to build our team. The reality for me is I don't even pay attention to first team, second team. If you watch the offensive line, guys rotate. To me, it's about getting guys on tape. And if all you ever do is play with the first team offense against the first team defense, and the next guy plays on the second team offense versus the second team defense, you never have a chance to see different guys versus different people. Take a 2 and put them with the 1s and let them go against the better player. So we're always trying to move guys around, rotate guys around, especially early in training camp. So I think as we get closer to the season, we get through the preseason games, we'll start to really hone in on here's who's available for that first game. But right now, we're trying to build a team for the entire season.
Do you see anything that matters with Taylor on the left side or Trent when he was on the right side?
Not really. I think those things, and Trent's played left and right, so that's not really a concern. I think nothing will really show up with Taylor until we put pads on.
When you have Jeremy play a play or two, in his hybrid role, or if he's not really comfortable there and you all decide to move him back, who do you look to at the safety after that?
I think right now we're just kind of putting him back there and just playing it out. I think there's lots of good players back there. I think Sam Franklin's a guy that when he played last year, he played really well. I think a lot of people here see him as a potential starter. Miles Hartsfield, guys see as a potential starter. So I think there's good competition amongst that group. And 17 games, I think we all realize guys are going to get banged up. So we're just trying to train everyone to be a starter, not hey, coach these guys differently than these guys. So Sam, Miles, I think those are the guys we would rely on if we had an open spot.
I know he was in red when you were in minicamp, but what have you seen the first couple of days with Marshall out there?
Terrace, he's made some big catches. They're trying to. I think they did a nice job of identifying a role for him and saying, hey, just concentrate on this right now. Very coachable young man, works hard. So I'd say all signs are positive, so far.
Does he have already kind of an NFL body somewhat?
Yeah. You get drafted in the second round, you have it. But I hesitate for a second. He's just going to get bigger and stronger. He's a big kid. He's going to be quite a specimen here as the years go on.
On that, does he seem like a pretty big catch radius?
Yeah, he's got long arms. He's got big hands. He makes you can back shoulder him. You can throw it over the top. So he's like any rookie. He's going to go have some good days, some bad days. I thought today looked like a good day. You watch the tape. Sometimes you say afterwards oh, that was a bad day. But it looked to me like he had a really good day. And those young guys, they just got to stack good days together.
You talked about share on Robbie and what's going on.
Robbie's here. He's just trainers help.
You talked about gradually ramping things up. You saw 11 on 11 for the first time today. Can you talk about what you saw out there from the guys?
I thought it was competitive. It was good. Those guys, those guys moved around well. I thought there was some good competition. So, we only did 2 periods. But I thought it all looked pretty good. The offense had, they turned the ball over 3 times today. So it's 2 bad snaps. So obviously that's something that can't happen. So, but in terms of the team periods, I thought it looked good. Thought we looked like you could tell that we're in shape. Guys are sprinting to the ball. Guys are playing hard and rotating a lot of guys in just to give a lot of guys reps.
How eager are you to see what Brian can do now with more help along that defensive line?
Burns?
Yeah.
I think Brian. I think the key for him is just for him, not to worry about anybody else, but for him to just really, really improve his skill set. Add power rush to what he does, not just be a speed rusher, but also a power rusher, which he did at times last year. Be an elite run defender, and then be used in a lot of different areas. I know when you're a rusher, you want to rush all the time, but he's such a great athlete. He can affect the game, dropping, rushing, playing the run. He's got a lot to him, and the challenge for him is to not settle for being like really, really, really good, but force himself to become great. And that's the jump, that's the leap, that's the hardest one to make. Is to not settle for being probably one of the best guys at your position, but trying to be the best. And that's what this training camp's for him.
I know it's easy to do in the 11 on 11, but how do you go about simulating the risk management part of Sam's game outside of those periods?
I think it's the same for every quarterback. Just play within progression, play with two hands in the pocket. Don't force anything if it's not there. Check it down. I mean, when you play for the Carolina Panthers, you have a blessing in that if it's not there, you kick the ball down to Christian McCaffrey a lot of times. So just playing within progression, playing within the system is really all we're asking for.
Coach, who or what stood out to you today as you assessed practice?
I take such a global view. I try, what I mean? So, the coaches have to sort of take like a micro view. I try to take a macro view. Are we moving? Are we hustling around? Are we doing those things? We mentioned Terrace earlier. I thought he did some good things. But just really, I'm always paying attention more to like the ethos, of who we are that day, and do we have a good work ethic? Are we paying attention? Are we focused? And I thought we had all those things.
Coach, I'm curious, because this year's rookie class had a full offseason. What areas and what aspect can you sort of quantify, like how it's really helped this rookie class to have that opportunity in the offseason coming into training camp versus last year?
It's night and day. Night and day. Those guys are so much further ahead than they would have been. At the same time, we're a different roster than we were last year. The guys that came in last year, here you're starting. Probably not ready yet, but you're starting. So those guys were running with the ones, and they had to learn on the fly. Some of these guys that are really good players are going with the twos and the threes because we have a little bit more depth than we did this time. When we drafted those guys last year, so it's a little give and take there. But I'd say being in the off season really helped us and helped those guys.
Sort of like being able ready to sort of get on the field and ready to play, sort of right off the bat. Is that an example?
Yeah. Well, I think just knowing what to do, and so when they get out here, they're not starting at level one. We talk about the 4 levels of mastery. They're at least at level 2, where they know what they don't know and they're working on it.
Coach, now a few days in, what have you seen from Sam in terms of his growing comfort level within the offense and just within this group of guys?
It's just install 2. The good thing is a lot of the things that he's doing out here today we did in the spring. So I think you see a guy that knows the progressions, he knows the protections. I think he's just more comfortable. You look at some of the great quarterbacks, and I'll say this over and over again, like they've been in the same system for like 8. Recipe for drafting a quarterback and having him be successful is keeping him in the same system with the same coordinator and the same protection calls. Recipe for disaster is changing your coordinator every year and playing under different systems. And so I think for Sam, this is his 3rd offensive system in the National Football League in 4 years. It's not easy, but he's working at it, and I think you can see him now look a little bit more confident than he did last spring because it's his 2nd time going through the installation.
You mentioned that during minicamp and OTAs that a lot of the stuff that you guys are doing is similar to what he had with his first OC in New York. How much do you kind of take from his other stop to try and maybe implement it into your offense?
And that would be Joe, because Joe knew Coach Bates, and so he knew some of the things. I think just terminology-wise. I think we're trying to take advantage of the players that we have, the things that Sam does well, the things he's comfortable with. We've certainly gone back and watched tape. This summer we went back and watched USC tape, just trying to find the things that he does well and what fits into our system. But at the end of the day, we have what we want to do. We don't want to change from year to year. We want to be, I want once guys learn our terminology and our words that, it stays with them and they can really grow in it. So, a little bit, but not too much. I think for the most part, it's just sort of like, hey, Sam, this is how we do it here, and let's go from here.
That is the plan to kind of ease JC.
No, he's out there competing right away. He's out there going.
Seen him a lot, kind of where you start 24 and 26 in the drill and then get JC in after.
Yeah, we'll just compete that out, and then we'll have a nickel package that goes in tomorrow. They'll play a lot more DBs, but I'm only going to react to what I see on tape, and we ended the spring one way, so we started the fall one way, and guys will have every chance to beat each other out and earn their role. But to me, the first week doesn't really matter. The first week we're teaching, the next week we put the pads on. And as we get into the Indianapolis joint practice and the Ravens, it'll be really clear in terms of, hey, who's gonna start first, then we'll get the game week. So I wouldn't read too much into it. It's just really more me saying, like, hey, let's get out there and teach everybody, give everybody reps, give 3 groups reps, and then we'll have a nice sample size to make good decisions.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
Appreciate it.